Developing synchronization. One of the key areas that Law of Duality focuses on is on synchronizing the ego and the higher self into the essence of one. When your energy is in sync, it magnifies its power and congruence. This means that if you channel higher synchronized vibrations, you will flow stronger and with more intent within your energy and actions. Optimal energy flow is about knowing how to drive your energy and having the intuitive foresight to know when to lead with your ego self, when to lead with your higher self, or with the dual synchronized vibrations of both. Your energy is always flowing, but it comes down to the level and intensity you allow it to flow. And one question to keep in mind is energy flowing on a higher vibrational level, or is my energy flowing on a lower vibrational level? And this is a question I often like to keep in the back of my mind. This might sound simple to answer, but it's within the applicable actions that we take that we get the results we need in order to continue to improve and evolve. And this is how we find out just where within our own scale our energy is. A good scale I like to use is to simply give my energy a number, let's say, of from 1 to 10, and gauge where my energy is, and then gauge where my energy is going. Developing the habit of recalling the way by which we drive our energy is what is going to help us more effectively move towards where we want to be. Where we want to be both within our energy form and in our daily actions. Our inner energy magnifies when we evoke greater congruence, meaning that when it is in sync, we lead with intent and towards a clear direction. Sometimes a greater intent filled with a greater awareness of being in the moment will simply be what we need. At times, we will want to reflect on our journey, and at other times, we will want to plan and move forward with our goals. And at other times, we will simply want to enjoy the essence of the moment. Having our energy in sync helps us be at ease, be filled with clarity, and in having a good sense of spiritual balance. This is what we aspire to when we shift towards a higher vibrational synchronization. Your energy of duality compounds when you are in congruence with intent, and you are dedicated on your ascension and ultimate goals. What is the greater objective of being in synchronization? One of the areas that is not often reflected upon is that our journey is energy within itself, and we are connected within that journey of energy. Our journey brings forth its own energy within duality. At the same time, our journey and ourselves are one. And the many lessons our journey presents will at times be painful, yet it will present these challenges to simply help us evolve further within the essence of our energy. Whether we face issues of feeling hurt, feeling desperate, feeling frustrated, these pain signals come into existence for a reason. We can either see pain signals as punishment and allow them to make us a victim of our journey, or more clearly, we can see them as being energy blocks that serve one purpose: to challenge us to evolve and ascend within our life, which is our journey. At times, we will have to take swift action. Sometimes we will have to hold back, and at other times, we will have to fight for what we believe. The idea of oneness is true, but within oneness exists the energy of duality. And unfortunately, we cannot survive within a life of simply meditating all day long towards oneness. Pain will come into our lives, sometimes unexpectedly. It doesn't matter how much oneness we think we have. Oneness will tend to fade when our inner light fades into darkness, when we endure our trials and tribulations. When we face pain and challenges, the feeling of oneness is gone. And within introspection, the question now is, do you want to change where you are right now in order to get a better quality of life that you deserve? Are you seeking to be more enlightened? Perhaps it is our energy blocks that is preventing us, or perhaps it's other people. It is often alluded by meditational gurus that duality is the opposite of oneness. And the question now becomes, how can duality be the opposite of oneness when it's all natural fractal energy that gains awareness of being one through its very own contrast of being one? In other words, the term all being in oneness within itself is a paradox that points out that oneness is unlike being within oneness. A paradox means duality, just like energy means motion, and motion means awareness. And if you're getting a bit confused, don't worry. Sometimes these terms can even be construed as semantics, meaning it's becoming wordplay to some degree. Just focus on the now, the journey, and what you would like to transpire through that journey. We do live in a world of pain and pleasure, and we do live in a world by which we are greatly influenced by habits, by pain and pleasure, and things like dopamine hits. But look at things from a greater perspective. Look at things from a universal perspective. All of this comes down to energy and the way it flows. That's the paradox we have with oneness. And all of this comes down to the duality that exists within the universe and how that same dual energy is reflective upon ourselves. And for us, this means that while we are living a life, we have choices to make. Sometimes we will make good choices, and sometimes we will make bad choices. Our energy of duality is oneness in motion, and it goes through that process of transformation. Zoom out to an universal view and know that eternally everything indeed is one. Yet we can zoom all the way into a level ground perspective of our journey. We amplify our duality within oneness by the choices we make and the life we live. This is why synchronization is essential in order to ascend and transform. This might sound a little confusing because the transformation that we seek already exists within the cosmos, but within energy form. A harmony of oneness already exists in energy form. Yet in our daily lives, through our trials and tribulations, we will have light and we will have darkness. If we're able to capture light, meaning we amplify our good vibrational energy, and if we're able to transfer universal energy into our daily life, and we're able to materialize it, then we will experience that oneness on a human level. Where many people fail on the concept of oneness is when they're not willing to admit to themselves that we will have many battles that we will have to fight in our journey. Not everything is going to be rosy along the way. Therefore, we should be inspired to lead with our ego and our higher self. And we have to be practical and realize that we live in duality. If you're just living in the clouds all day, then any storm can just wither you away. This is kind of a strange analogy, but it's true. A lot of people fail with the concept of oneness because they don't acknowledge that there are mountains that we're going to have to climb. And there are battles that we're going to have to fight. If we just believe in oneness and we don't take the right actions with a strategy and a plan, we will not ascend and we will not evolve. And the question now becomes, why do we need to evolve if we already have oneness with all. This comes back to the concept of energy. Energy is always flowing in order to be energy, and motion is created through a sense of awareness, the contrast between two things, not necessarily opposites, and that is what creates awareness. For example, in order to create awareness of light, we don't necessarily need darkness, but we do need a darker shade of light. In order to create energy, it needs to flow, and that again is created through the contrast of awareness. Awareness is created through the evolution of duality. Duality is synchronized oneness. And the beauty is that nobody has to give you this inner state. It's already inherent within you. Having further ways to channel duality is what the insights of this program brings you. Synchronization is dual energy fluctuating through oneness. In terms of this program and in terms of energy of duality, we will focus on synchronization of duality as of that being our ego and our higher self. Those are the dual sides that make up who we are. We are one human and one spirit. And the question I always get is, why should we synchronize our ego and our higher self? Synchronization is important in order to be congruent with our energy and our actions. For instance, our higher self is void of emotion and void of bad habits. It's void of things such as dopamine hits. Those are just human emotions that our higher self does not feel. Our higher self sees outcomes all as one within our journey. Our higher self is there so that we may connect and dynamically put together a consortium of energy that will allow us to evolve within our journey. When should we synchronize our energy? There's a process that works really well for me. When I'm first faced with a big decision, let's say, for instance, it usually comes to me in the form of day-to-day life, meaning mainly through the energy of my ego self-character. As soon as this decision comes to me, I like to zoom out and see it from an overall, universal, higher self perspective. From my higher self, I like to see how this decision will affect me through its chain reaction of first order results, second order, and third order results. Meaning, what additional chain reactions will this have if I decide to take action in a certain way? And no matter how hard the decision or the problem that I'm facing is, one thing that really helps me tremendously is that from a higher self perspective, I always know that I have options. Again, from a higher self perspective, I always know and feel that I have options. I have choices. I feel that no matter what information I have, how much intelligence I have towards this one particular topic, problem, challenge, I step out, I zoom out and look at what different options are on the table. And if it's possible to get even more options, and I don't have to decide at that moment, I simply reflect upon those options. I gradually begin to zoom in into my ego self from that universal view and gradually down to a ground level view. This means that once I see everything from a zoomed out higher self perspective, I gradually begin going in and sort of looking at my options and seeing what options are more realistic than the others. And by the time I am at the ground level, I already have a few options to decide from. Here's where my ego self really shines in helping me make decisions. How so? By playing devil's advocate. My ego self visualizes how each of these options will play out, at times even being sarcastic or even being pessimistic. I read somewhere that being pessimistic is a trait that many of the greatest thinkers and leaders have utilized to take action. And I do see this as a trait that is universal in nature. After I play those scenarios through my mind, I am then more clear headed and relaxed. This allows me to narrow down my choices to one option. And if I'm still doubtful on taking action on this one option, what do? I simply run the same process again, starting with a zoomed out view of my higher self. Ultimately, a decision will manifest itself through this process. Even if it's not the best choice, once I run with it, I then synchronize my energy, meaning synchronize my ego and my higher self, and I take action. I synchronize my energy of duality to move forward with intent. When energy begins to flow with intent, it shifts towards being in the zone. And when you're in the zone, your energy recoils itself and pushes you forward into ascension. This means that we have gone through that long period, that gap, where we were not sure on what decision to take. Now, this long period can be any amount of time, from minutes to hours, weeks, months. It all depends on what decision you have to make. Yet, we didn't sit on our hands, or we didn't just stay wishing for something good to happen. We might meditate within oneness, but we went beyond that and called upon our energy of duality. While we held on through the gap, that distance when we were facing our challenge, we executed this energy process I just described in order to take action. We soon come upon our ascension point as we might face more traction. More challenges might pop up. Yet we know this traction signifies that we will ascend eventually. Ascension usually happens right before we face a higher level of pressure, and ascension leads to evolving. This is a simple but powerful process that the more you see it, the more it becomes second nature. And now I would like to add a side element that I think really adds space and color to this process, and that is optimizing synchronicity. Optimizing synchronicity simply means finding ways to enhance it, making it more colorful, more interesting, in a way that attracts other good vibrations our way. Because ultimately, when our energy is in sync, we are ascending and attracting all that is good. So, how do we attract other energies when we are in sync? And how do we attract other energies when we are moving forward with intent? We live in the moment and aspire to connect with others who are also living in the moment. If someone else we cared about is not in the moment, we can attract and inspire them to shift towards also being in synchronicity. So it's good to want to share this with others, and it's good to look upon it this way. If our energy is not in synchronicity, it means that it's either zooming out or zooming in. When we are in synchronicity, we create depth and spaces within our energy and our journey. How do we create spaces while being in sync? By being relaxed and focused and gaining further perspective in the moment. We also create spaces when we dream, and we also create spaces when we are awakened with purpose and intent. And here's the thing that I am referring to. One further action that we can do and that can really help us is that when we are creating attraction and abundance through synchronicity, the spaces we fill with energy, in a way, we are also connecting that with others. Our synchronicity will reflect upon them by our way of being and through the stories we share, the metaphors we convey, and how helpful we are and our helpful insights that we give. You can simply craft a story around your insights. your insights of energy work, or an experience you want to share. What you're sharing is not just a story, but a connection. This is powerful to attract other alike energies towards us and make friends and develop deeper relationships. When you synchronize your energy, you become a divine entity and you're truly in oneness with all. Get to that level where you feel that you have gained a greater perspective of energy work within your duality. Practice and take action and continue to evolve with the results you get, and take those results and continue to ascend. Be completely congruent and honest with yourself as you evolve and ascend. You will see others become attracted to the energy you manage, and perhaps you will be inspired to show others how to get to that level as well. When we put that good energy out towards others, it will reflect back upon us and grow dynamically through all that we do and all that we engender. No matter where you are in life, synchronizing your energy of duality is possible, and it will bring you light, healing, and transformation. It might take a while to get there, but don't be discouraged, because once you get to that level of being, it will be worth all your hard work and endurance. So start taking action today.